Hey guys, how you going? Okay. Before I start tonight, I would like to thank Marie, a new Patreon, and thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and through PayPal, and just generally your support by watching me, because without you, I'd be pretty much sitting here talking to myself. So I'd like to say thank you. Okay, let's get into this. Tonight, have you seen Brittany? She doesn't look very good. I can't talk, I don't look very good today either, but no, really, listen to this.
So I'm here today to answer all your questions in the comments, and the first main question that you guys asked me is what's my favorite holiday? My favorite holiday is probably Halloween, just because I love getting dressed up, I love the candy, and I love scaring people. My favorite subject in school was history. My favorite designer is Tom Ford. My favorite restaurant is Mastro's, just because I love a steak and baked potatoes. And my favorite book, very good question, is probably A Good Woman by Danielle Steele.
This girl seems to, her little child personality seems to be out. That was very, very weird. And this was from Amy. Poor Brittany, she looks like an absolute wreck and sounds like a coked up chipmunk. Which she kind of does. Like, honestly, I don't know. There's something weird going on there, definitely. Aussie Gypsy says, I'm over this BS, just researching a bit on New South Wales state forest and camping and prospecting. June 20th video. The freaking state government there is closing forests because of this silly sickness. How freaking ridiculous. Their irrationality will eventually unmask them. Then there's this. ICYMI exclusive. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. drops bombshells on Dr. Fauci for medical cover-ups and fraud. Fauci poisoned an entire generation of Americans. True pundit. We'll go have a look. Okay, let's try and zoom in on that a bit so everyone can see if... Okay. As big as I can get it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. revealed disturbing information about Dr. Anthony Fauci's medical career in the government, calling out the celebrated physician for a history of disturbing practices ranging from costly cover-ups to outright fraud. Kennedy repeatedly slammed Fauci on the Thomas Paine podcast on Wednesday, revealing disturbing information about Fauci's problematic career, steering key medical policy for the United States. Kennedy described Fauci as a workplace tyrant who has ruined careers of upstanding physicians and researchers in order to cover up scandals and costly medical research disasters at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, where Fauci has served as a director since 1984 as part of the National Institute of Health. Wow. Tony Fauci didn't want the American public to know he has poisoned an entire generation of Americans, Kennedy said, alleging Fauci targeted a whistleblower who was trying to uncover the blood supply in the country was tainted with deadly strains. Kennedy said Fauci ruined the physician's career and covered up the crucial research, and that was just one of Kennedy's attacks against Fauci. There were more. Kennedy also targeted Bill Gates, Big Pharma, the media, and more in this exclusive interview. Listen at the top of the page. So I'll include this link down below for you guys so you can listen to it yourself. It's a podcast and it goes for 2 hours and 43 minutes. So I'll include the link for this down below. That's from Thomas Paine. Then CJ Truth. Thread, Big Pharma is just part of the global deep state cabal as any organisation. I think it'll sicken people when they found out what they have kept hidden and how truly corrupt they are. Number 1. A certain drop. CEO resignations and Big Pharma chain of command on the 7th of February 2018. Make sure the list of resignations remains updated. Important. When does Big Pharma make money? Cures or containing cancer, AIDS, etc. Mind will be blown by chain of command. Disease, cancer cures exist. What if cures already exist? What about the billions public, private, government fund cure dev? Sheep. These people are sick. Top medical researchers killed. How many top medical researchers found dead in the last 5 years? Why is this topic relevant now? Why does the US taxpayer subsidise meds for the rest of the world? And that's interesting. How many top medical researchers and scientists have been found dead in the last 5 years? And some of them have been listed as suicides, and they somehow stabbed themselves a few times in the back. It reeks of, it's very suspicious, guys, really suspicious. Okay, experimental drug promises to kill flu virus. What a coincidence. And there's an article in here as well. This board has more power and influence than anyone comprehends. Then another drop. Big Pharma has the cures. How long will we have to wait for the cures of cancer and other sicknesses? Chatter amongst those in control has begun. They know we know, which means the public will know. Release prior to cover-up. Public informed and collapse. Which option? He's given them an option. Do they want to release it? Or public will be informed and it will happen anyway? That's how I read that. Sorry. It might not be right, but that's how I read that. Our attack on Big Pharma came with a warning letter today. Message received. Response forthcoming. And that's funny because recently Trump was talking about all this and said that he may have to disappear for a few days. And then, even though we've seen him on TV since, we just don't know. And he could disappear at any time for a few days. Okay. And another drop. They're all drops. What the point proven? Was the point proven? God, I'm going blind. This board has more power than you can imagine. They are always watching. Watching the news. Watch the news. RE. New drugs coming out. Flu. Dirt. Next. What a coincidence. And then another one. Obama also got a letter in the mail with white powder. Did Hussein just receive a letter in the mail with white powder? What a coincidence. Message received. Response forthcoming. MK Ultra Big Pharma mobile tech connection. Why is Big Pharma essential? Expand your thinking past cures. Think Google, new Pixel phone. Think Apple versus Samsung. Why was BlackBerry destroyed? We can guide, but you must organically uncover the truth. They're watching. Archive offline. Everything. They said it round the other way, but I'm just rephrasing it here. Money, power and control. People are simply in the way. Slaves, sheep, pawns. Mass extinction events designed to decrease threat level of population. That's what they had in store for us. And gun control. And wars. Fake, top happy, back end deal. Election rigging, control. Your voice does not matter. Pharma, Class D. Water, air, chemicals, and we've read this one recently. Chemicals pushed for home use cleaning. Cancer, baby, on floor, hands in mouth, the start. Vaccines, not all. Tobacco, opioids, ultimate win, death and money. The Fed, Rothschild, conspiracy. UK, Germany, 5 days. Choice is yours. Revelations, enough is enough. Then another post. Clinton Health Access Initiative. Oh, this one, yeah. HIV, AIDS, CHAI, Clinton Foundation, conflicts of interest. CHAI discounted pharmaceuticals to distribute abroad. Pharma Alliance, HRC, BC. Protect domestic high prices. Domestic equals payday. So it's all connected to... well, everything's connected to everything. Once you start waking up, you realise, and you can stand back and look at everything, and everything's connected. Every single thing we can see is connected. California officials blowing budget on illegals to stay in power and enrich Big Pharma. Big Pharma donates how much to CANY elected officials? California officials blowing budget on illegals to stay in power and enrich Big Pharma. Nancy Pelosi seeks new money sources in absence of federal funding. And Fox News. California bullet train project on track to blow through billions more dollars. That's how they get it. Does this mean more fires? See? You wonder what the fires are about. Look, railway lines. Why would CA elected officials knowingly collapse budget? Who elects the CA officials? Money to be made, and there's another one up here. California allows illegals to vote, that's why. American citizens finance healthcare for undocumented immigrants. Big Pharma donates how much to CA and NY elected officials? I'd say quite a bit. Compare versus other states. Why are CA and NY vital areas of control? Think ports, think legal protection. That's California and New York. I know most of you would know that already. Thread reader, unroll. The cures exist, such as this one here that I can't get anymore. You know what happened? I had a prescription for it. A repeat prescription. And during the move, I lost the repeat prescription. And now no doctors are allowed to prescribe it to me. I'll have to go and see a specialist, which I'm going to have to do because for the last few days I've actually been back in agony again. I'm taking MMS, but this stuff here, the pain went away, the swelling went away, everything went away. And the only reason I think I realised was when I ran out and everything came back, and I just went, no, oh, not again. I don't want to go through that again. They exist, guys. Now he's letting her be seen by the White House about her Lyme disease. Lots of controversy over where that disease came from. Can you imagine if she's given the proper meds to cure it after she's had it since she's 5? Oh, that was a lady with Lyme disease. So, yeah, I found that interesting, which I'll also link that below in case you want to dive further into any links, and because there are links in here. And this one, Awake in Australia. Oz taxpayers funding the deep state with hundreds of millions funneled under the guise of philanthropy. This thread aims to shed some light onto the $444 billion grant to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, showing links to the Clinton Crime Foundation and Ghislaine Maxwell. In a very suspicious move, former PN of Australia gave $444 billion in taxpayer money to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. The Great Barrier Reef Foundation had not tendered and not even asked for the money. It was like we'd won the lotto, said the managing chair. They'd never tendered for it. He'd never asked for it. Indeed, he had no immediate way to spend the money, the charity having only 6 full-time employees, but he accepted it nonetheless. It appears Turnbull's wife Lucy is involved. Read paragraph 2 and 3 of this photo. Stephen Fitzgerald, very closely tied to Lucy, was the Great Barrier Reef head of philanthropy. He has ties to Goldman Sachs and to the United States Study Centre, as does Lucy Turnbull. They did say the second and third. Malcolm Turnbull's office confirmed that two of the directors of the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, the recipient of $444 million grant from his government awarded without tender, may have been hosted at the Prime Minister's home by wife Lucy. The Australian can reveal the head of the Great Barrier Reef Foundation's Philanthropy Committee, Stephen Fitzgerald, a one-time head of Mr Turnbull's former investment bank Goldman Sachs, was on the board of the European Business Advisory Council at the same time as Mrs Turnbull. Mr Fitzgerald is also on the Council of Advisors for the US Study Centre in Sydney, where Mrs Turnbull is patron, and was on that council while Mrs Turnbull held the role of Deputy Chair between 2012 and 2015. Lucy is the patron of the United States. I nearly said, I keep going to say Patreon. Patron of the United States Study Centre, part of the University of Sydney. Stephen Fitzgerald of the Great Barrier Reef Fund was on the Council of Advisors for the USSC. The USSC was set up by former PM John Howard. And in 2006, Australian Prime Minister John Howard, AC, announced a $25 million endowment to establish a United States study centre at a major Australian university, with the University of Sydney selected as host. Interestingly, here's what Hillary Clinton has to say about the USSC. See how these people create a web of deceit and connection? I thank the Centre for its steadfast commitment to the US-Australia partnership. It is a partnership that is, of itself, of importance to each of us, but it's also a partnership that must remain at the core of the kind of engagement we have in the Asia-Pacific and Indo-Pacific regions, for now and for the future. In other words, we want to thank you for letting us rip your country off. Even Turnbull's son-in-law, James Brown, is involved with the USSC. The centre has very close links to the Turnbull family as well, with Malcolm Turnbull's son-in-law, James Brown, being its research director from 2015 until earlier this year. Brown is still listed on the Foundation's website as a non-resident fellow. It sounds Masonic. Here's Julie Red Shoes Bishop endorsement of the USSC, the same bishop that gave hundreds of millions of our money away to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. The Red Shoes. The USSC non-resident fellow and Sky News ABC regular contributor Bruce Walp spews constant lies and anti-Trump propaganda. Okay. Bruce Walp of the USSC is currently trying to keep Australians asleep by selling them the lies and anti-Trump propaganda. Fun fact, Walp was advisor to Obama and PM Gillard. Yes, you read that right. Groundwork laid. Now let's bring it back to the Great Barrier Reef Fund Foundation. Read this article. The Great Barrier Reef Fund is linked to the Clinton Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and Turnbull's old stomping ground, Goldman Sachs. And there's a link here if you would like to read from PR Newswire. Interestingly, $444 million is 666 upside down. Symbolism is very important to them. How much did Morrison and Frydenberg know? And then there's more, the Saturday paper. The terms of Malcolm Turnbull's $444 million Barrier Reef grant was set up by Scott Morrison. Is that it? Oh, okay. One of them, is it? Well, I can't read that unless you join, neither can you. But apparently, Scott Morrison set up the Great Barrier Reef grant for Malcolm Turnbull. Maybe that's why he has an ankle monitor. Maybe he turned. Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's partner, had an ocean philanthropy called Terra Mar Project. They even had their fingers in the Great Barrier Reef. Epstein helped set up the Clinton Foundation. Connection here to Australia. Troubling conclusions from the Great Barrier Reef study. The coverage of living corals on the Australian Great Barrier Reef could decline to less than 10% if ocean warming continues, and that is a load of rubbish. Why did the Australian government assist rogue US deep state to spy on POTUS? Why did Turnbull try to use the leaked call with POTUS to set him up? Reread Five Eyes. Avoid US data collection laws. Hussein. The public dossier Pfizer. Not public. Five Eyes. UK, Australia. POTUS target using pushed RUS decoy meetings. Campaign insertions. Do not focus on the call details. We knew it would leak. We knew certain areas of the White House were bugged. We knew certain people would leak. Focus. Why Australia? This is huge. Why is Australia the biggest global donor to the Clinton Crime Foundation? Was the Great Barrier Reef Fund's $444 million grant a way to continue funneling to the deep state? Or Clinton Foundation? Is it still going on under the guise of other grants and aid? How much did Australia donate to the Clinton Foundation? How much did Saudi Arabia donate to the Clinton Foundation? Compare. Why is this relevant? What phone call between POTUS and ex-Australia leaked? List the leadership in Australia. Iden leadership during Hussein term. Iden leadership during POTUS term. Who controls Australia? Who really controls Australia? UK? Why is this relevant? There are too many coincidences. Why is our media not reporting on any of this? Silenced? Complicit? What the hell's going on? Connect the dots, question, research, talk to family and friends. We need to make noise. The end. And I'm going to put this link down. This is from Awake in Australia. And I'm going to put this link down below so that you can go and suss out these links and read it for yourself if you would like. Okay, this one as well. This is from Absolute Conviction. Okay, Absolute 1776. Anons and friends, I'm not sold that the Twitter bans are necessarily a black eye. Same as YouTube. This is going to be a little bit more scattered than my normal threads as I'm still gathering pieces and putting it together. But I wanted to get the idea out there because, quite frankly, you guys and gals are some of the most intelligent people I've ever interacted with, so here goes. After the initial shock and caution began to wear off, I started thinking about all this, and one phrase came to mind: infiltration, not invasion. Among many others mentions this: we are all aware that the US as a whole has been infiltrated by enemies. But much like Pfizer going both ways, so does infiltration. Many thousands of MSDNC direct attacks have failed to control the reach, sway opinion and prevent growth of thought. When direct attacks, use of inserts, cutouts fail, censorship ban deployed as aggressive method to slow limit growth. Next, more acts of violence, frame-ups. Controlled information dissemination, system designed to control you is threatened. If you pose no threat, reach and topics to their control, information dominance, they would not continue to expend ammunition. They would not care. Number 2, attack topic, POTUS. All for a conspiracy, information warfare, infiltration, not invasion. Let's get back to the Twitter hack. We are all fully aware this was not some pimple-face pickle with nothing better to do in Mummy's basement. Here Twitter admits that its own employee tools contributed to the attack. And what's the bet that's gone? Is it still there? Twitter reveals that its own employees' tools contributed to the unprecedented hack. Twitter has shed some light on the unprecedented attack on Wednesday that resulted in numerous takeovers of high-profile accounts, including Barack Obama. Oh, and that's when they were telling everybody to send them money. Was it? Anyway, that was a Twitter hack. A hack within its own walls, you say? Haha. White hats? And there's another link here by the New York Times. DMs were breached in at least 63 accounts. Direct messages. So, what accounts DMs were breached and saved? And are we certain the insider employee isn't a white hat? The unprecedented hack that hijacked the Twitter accounts of world leaders, business executives, artists and top cryptocurrency exchanges was the work of a hacker who gained access to the social network through a company employee's account. It was revealed late Thursday night. Okay, Twitter bans 7,000 accounts. I'm not being snarky, but how many of you actually know any of these accounts? I'm going to get into some chick, etc. in a moment. I mean, really? It seems to me if you're going to blanket ban these accounts related to search, that you start with the heavy hitters. I won't tag them in this post itself, but will do so in the comments, as their eyes on this will only help the research. So moving on, let's look at the limitations most, if not all of us, are seeing. Here are some examples. Search suggestion ban, search ban, no-go spam, no reply deboosting, although this is still happening to some. Okay. Some of them have a search ban, okay. No ghost ban, no reply to boosting. No ghost ban, no reply to boosting. Oh, search ban. Okay. So what could this mean? Well, when you search for one of us while not following us, it's much harder to find our profiles. It isn't impossible, and some may still pop up, but by and large those search bans bury us. That's terrible. Terribly awful, right? We're totally being suppressed, or are we being protected? Sure, normies can't find us easily, but neither can shills or trolls. I'm not saying that is the case, but it's worth considering. Now I'm going to move on to the bigger accounts that were banned. Some Chick, IET and Anonymous 17 are all patriots, all have done a tremendous amount to help grow the movement. IET has a heartbeat, and Some Chick and A17 may be laying low. Now ask yourself, would patriots like them be willing to sacrifice a large account in order to help the movement grow and go mainstream? Absolutely they would, because this country and the truth mean that bloody much to them. SSG Payne left this before going dark for a couple of days. This read like a sign-off before partaking in an objective or mission. Farewell, my friends. Enjoy the show. It's all in his hands now. Their hands. On a side note, I'd like to extend my prayers and thoughts to SSG Payne. Dude has been dealing with a lot. I pray for the strength of God for you and your family, and healing prayers for your parents, my friend. God bless you. Back to it. What would be the point of all of this? Let me show you. Yes, Twitter knows it's real now. Jack is worried. You know who's a legit, and I never was a believer, but now I am. Thank you, Twitter, for banning the accounts. I've been trying to red pill my husband for the last 6 months and decided to stop, but now that you banned all the conspiracy accounts and it's all over social media, he's asking me all about it. You did something that I couldn't do. Twitter's safety will permanently suspend accounts tweeting about these topics we know are engaged in violations of our multi-account policy and coordinating abuse around. Anyway, permanently suspending accounts that reference this person. Nothing to see here, but now I believe in it so much more. And Twitter flew right into it. They just told the world that it's real and a threat to them. More. So by the fake news pointing out that Dan Scavino is posting that propaganda, are they admitting that that is in fact real and not a conspiracy? Twitter confirmed it's real. Never thought I'd see the day. Americans get censored. Welcome to the NWO. These are all relative normies who've been swayed to believing the movement because of the bans. How many of you are familiar with the Streisand effect? You know, mum and pop tells you cannabis is evil, so what do? You immediately go see for yourself. I used to call that the rebellious effect. The Streisand effect is a social phenomenon that occurs when an attempt to hide, remove or censor information has the unintended consequence of further publicising that information, often via the internet. It's named after American entertainer Barbra Streisand, whose attempt to suppress photographs of her resident in Malibu, California, inadvertently drew further attention to it in 2003. I mean, does anyone else find it funny that most of the big accounts are still here, even mine, for example? No, my account isn't huge, but I'm followed by some big ones. I'm very outspoken, and I have a steady growth, but I'm still here. Notables wasn't banned, he rebranded. Praying Medic went dark at the same time as SSG, and both returned around the same time. Again, just the food for thought. So in closing, I think, or I'm leaning towards this being a white hat op to bring attention to you-know-who and make it go mainstream. Furthermore, the timing of this lines up with needing extra support for a very hot and active run-up to November. As if we are low-key being told a lot of huge info's about to drop and we need new recruits. So this is how you recruit them. So if you see any comments related to now I believe because they told me it's fake, please add them on. Anything at all. I'm more grateful for. Thanks for reading, friends. Love and night to all. And yes, I'm playing safe just in case. And then tag in comments, and then infiltration, not invasion. A billionaire Republican buys major Twitter stake. Yep, that was a while ago. Adding on, recent happenings have actually solidified my stance on this theory. When the time is right and OPSEC isn't at stake, I'll explain further. Thank you all for the massive interest in this thread. And this doesn't exactly hurt his theory. Now you have ironclad proof of big conservative accounts being censored. And there you go. Wow. Some of them are back under different names too, guys, but you can go through this. More meat for my theory. For the next 90 days or so, every single time they will ban someone or suspend a top account for linking a video or whatever, it's going to get massive national attention. You have to pull back and get the 30,000 foot view of the dynamics play in this election. Look at the hashtag wrong Trump even. Yeah, it trended, but all it accomplished was to make them look terrible and make even more leave their base. We have numerous big accounts still standing, and think of this, what is happening when a big account gets an axe? More accounts rise up, get big, and then the big account comes back and regains their followers, thus creating twice as many big accounts. So let me know what you think of that down below, guys. I'm going to leave it there, and I think this is just really getting interesting. It really is. If you look at it like it is a movie, this is getting really, really interesting. So, and I got sent that email about Australian, it was from Google and YouTube, saying that Australian media is doing what they are doing to everyone else. I don't know. I've been thinking that for a while, actually. Because he's in control. We know he's in control. Not just the team, but the president. We know he's got control of everyone, the world. And I think he also has control of big corporations, and he's making them expose themselves. And what we're witnessing is the Great Awakening and everybody being shown. So it's going to just get ridiculous on TV until people are waking up all over the place, and it's just going to keep going till most people are awake. Anyway, guys, you can let me know what you think down below. Yeah, I really think it's interesting. Okay, guys, have a good one. Bye.